In the UK, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is meeting with European Commission President, where he's due to tell her that the UK will not extend its transition out of the EU beyond December 2020. Well, aside from that, markets are reacting to the developments in the global aviation sector, and that's where I will start my conversation with Juliana this afternoon. Hello, Juliana. Good afternoon. Well, following the Iranian attack on U.S. air bases in Iraq, airlines are cancelling flights to that region. British Airways is the latest airline to comment and says it would never operate a flight unless it was safe to do so. How are these whole things playing out in the UK aviation industry right, at the moment?
Good afternoon, Jimmy. Well, the Iranian-Iraqi airspace is the only corridor, really, to take flights between Europe and Asia. It's very, very important and very frequently used. We know that when the Ukrainian international airlines plane did come down, there were several airlines flying over that region at that time. One of those airlines was British Airways, and we know that the pilot took a really dramatic turn to fly the plane back into Athens just to avoid there. And as you can imagine, this story is much bigger than the UK aviation industry. We haven't yet had an official statement for them, although we do know that British Airways won't be flying over there. A number of other airlines have followed suit. We know that Qantas, that's the long-haul flight, the Australian flight that goes between London and Sydney, they won't be flying over Iran. Of course, there's also been several other Asian airlines and in European airlines that have also said they will not be flying over until they have some solid information about exactly what happened. Of course, earlier this morning, we were told that there was a mechanical or technical issue with the plane. In fact, the Ukrainian embassy in Iran also came out with that statement. They've deleted that statement from social media now. And of course, earlier, the Ukrainian president said that criminal proceedings will be open. So at the moment, there's lots of diversion, especially for people who are flying. A lot of the airlines are saying just check before you go to the airport.
All right, so how is Boeing was rocking the markets in London? 3 British nationals are said to be among the dead in the latest plane crash, right?
Well, 3 nationals are dead. We just heard, just before I came into the studio, the UK Defence Minister did actually confirm that there were no British casualties following those 22 airstrikes. I will do the numbers at the moment. The FTSE All-Share is down 0.32%, the FTSE 100 is down 0.19%, and the FTSE 250 is down 0.86%. The British pound is up on the dollar by 0.01%, up on the euro by 0.20%, and up on the yen by the Japanese yen, might I say, by 0.21%. Now, we know that Donald Trump, the US president, is due to speak any moment now, in a couple of hours, in American local morning time. And I suppose at the moment, Jimmy, everybody is waiting and seeing what Donald Trump has to say. I heard Chelsea there saying that potentially this tit for tat could be over. But we know that it's not just casualties the Americans are interested in. Donald Trump did tweet a couple of days ago that also there's a lot of $1 billion worth of military hardware locked up in those spaces that were attacked. And potentially, if any of those were destroyed, there could be retaliation. So the markets have leveled out. It isn't as volatile as it was this morning. But of course, we know as soon as the US president tweets or talks, everything can change. Going back to what you were saying about Boeing, really bad day for Boeing. We know that just a couple of months ago, they grounded their 737 MAX over 2 fatal crashes. They also haven't said anything at the moment besides sending their condolences. But really awful, awful story. Their shares are down 4%. The Boeing 707 that did crash is the most popular airline plane model in the world. It's in flying at the moment in several different places. So there is a lot of worry. And of course, as hours go on, as the days go on, we'll get more clarity.
Yeah, just wondering how Boeing is going to get out of this. Anyway, what is the latest on British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's meeting with European Commission President?
Well, Boris Johnson's very busy today. Was the first day he showed his face in public after his Caribbean New Year's getaway. He will be meeting the new European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen later today in Downing Street. At the moment, he's in the House of Commons. He's doing Prime Minister's questions, and he's going back and forth. So much to discuss. Of course, we all expect Brexit to be top of the bill, which it is, but then we are strong allies with Australia. So he's been speaking about those wildfires and what Britain will do to help. And of course, most importantly, the situation between Washington and Tehran. We know that Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary, is on his way to Washington for emergency talks with the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. So Boris Johnson is very busy, but yes, he will be speaking to Ursula von der Leyen, and that is due to some issues that European ministers have over EU citizens living in the UK, and how the transition period will affect them. So busy day all round here, Chimmy.
Well, I guess for now, all eyes will be on Donald Trump, waiting to hear what he has to say when he wakes up. In the meantime, let's continue to keep it up on those developments. Thank you, Juliana. Enjoy the rest of the day.